What is the most overlooked shipping story that you believe doesn't get enough coverage or attention?
I think the biggest overlooked story with shipping today is that shipping stocks in general are very cheap. Of course, we do understand that if you look at price NAV, typically new building prices or second-hand prices are lagging. But even if you are discounting, pretty steep fall in asset prices, I think most shipping stocks now screen quite cheap.
Yeah.
Which is a long time since they don't. Even you go back to May, most shipping stocks were at around NAV or plus. Today is far below.
Yeah. So turning our heads into 2025, you believe still shipping will be very attractive across several segments?
If you look at the two big segments, tankers and bulkers, still, especially if you look at the big tankers, the VLCCs, big bulkers, the Cape and Newcastle Maxes, nothing really has changed. The ships are old, fleets are aging. There's not a lot of new building orders. And, of course, we're still waiting for some more fiscal stimuli from China. And of
course, it's coming now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming by drip. They're drip feeding. They're not doing the big bazooka, which they should have done a long time ago. Yeah. And then, of course, there are worries about the tariffs. Generally, I don't think tariffs going to be a big influence on the tanker market in terms of oil or not even on iron ore and this stuff. Yeah. So I think the story is intact on both the dry bulk and especially the large sizes on dry bulk and the tankers. Generally, we have a slump now. It really means that nobody's going to go on an ordering spree. So those things looks good. Chemical tankers in terms of price NAV there is very compelling. LNG, it's nice to at least have a downturn now so we can get rid of a lot of steam tonnage. VLGCs, I think we are now looking into 2 years with very limited fleet growth. Looking at 25 and 26 looks pretty promising. Then, of course, there's too many VLAC orders, I believe. But there's also pent-up scrapping demand there in the VLGC market. So in general, I have quite, on the LNG side, I think it's going to be a bit tough 25, 26, but still, outlook is the same.
How's your feeling for Trump economics? I saw this interview with Ken Griffin. He said, the big story here is just America is open for business again, and the second and third and fourth order consequence just going to be very positive. Yeah. That make me think maybe is there a contrarian view here that it can backfire at some point, or is it just very positive for business and LNG and energy and everything?
Of course, it's not one-sided. It's twofold. I think it's generally good with deregulation. A lot of this is Reaganomics. You want to reduce waste. You want to improve productivity. You want to liberalize regulation. All of these things are good. And then, of course, he wants to reduce taxes. But if you look at America's economy now, it's not that regulated, especially compared to Europe. But still, it sends the right signal. It's really about supply-side reform and ease of regulation, which is a good thing and which I certainly support, especially, this LNG export moratorium, which is just pure electioneering by Biden. He want to show up his base. So eventually that became Harris' base. So those things are positive. Of course, if you're Ken Griffith, you don't really care that much about tariffs of manufactured goods, or Mexico or Canada getting tariffs. If you're doing shipping, you are more worried about tariffs, because if you look at globalization peaked 10 years ago. In terms of, if you look at this global trade, kind of peaked 10 years ago, FDIs are down a lot. So people are less pushed these days to invest cross-border, and especially China is the big example. People don't really, European and US are very worried about making too much investments in China, which is kind of sad in one way, because we had a more integration of the world economy, and now it's splitting apart.
Yeah.
So I think for shipping people, we are worried about tariffs, and what we hope is it's kind of a negotiation tactics that, okay, he's gonna scared people shitless, like scaring Justin Trudeau to become the governor of the 51st state of America, and then trying to find a deal like he describes in his book.
That's a fair summary. So time is flying, so I have some rapid fire questions. Some questions are given by the audience as well. And one thing that pops up is a productivity question. So people are thinking or wondering, how are you able to get so much stuff done on a consistent basis?
Perfection is the obstacle to productivity. So you need to kind of, okay, this is what we want to do it, and push. And then, of course, you're not doing all this yourself. You have to kind of get people to do it. So it's kind of not overthinking and making things too complicating and having 3-hour meetings to discuss things.
Yeah.
So just GTT, get things done. That's I think is the most important thing. And then motivating people to do their best.